right? And then finally, we have the services over here, which provides the services to the clients. So the flexibility of the solution is such that we can have an all-in-one appliance, meaning one appliance with all these services, and we can run this standalone, right? The same appliance can also be configured in a distributed configuration. Okay, meaning to say you have one dedicated appliance here for the central management, and then you add on other SOLIDserver to provide the services. So in this way, you have a separation layer here physically between the management and the services, right? So what this achieves is, instead of having to go through to each of these appliances to configure the services, all you need to do is access the central management, and then it will then push the configuration down to these distributed services. Okay. So we do not have a separate module or a separate image for these distributed appliances. They are all running the same image or the same OS. It's just the way how you configure the architecture, right? So it's very, very flexible. So synchronization. So earlier I mentioned about the synchronization and what it actually does. So here we go a little bit more detail. One of the example which I can think of and I have experienced previously was, imagine this was a standalone DNS server, which was part of the distributed setup. So when you log in to the GUI of this distributed appliance, you will not see any configuration. Okay, because the configuration is managed by the central management. However, when you make this become a standalone and you configure the management to manage its services, the local management to manage its services, the data will then be pushed up to the management. Okay, so that is from down up. So any configuration that was set previously will be pushed up and updated into the management, so you can actually see what is being configured. So for example, if you have DNS zones, then you will see the zones being created on the local management server. And then the other direction is from the central management synchronize to the distributed appliances, right? So this is what synchronization really means. So whatever that it was configured on the services itself, it will be synchronized up to management. And then if you have a centralized management, the configuration that was changed over here will then be pushed down and deployed to these distributed servers. Right. So just to as a reminder, when you deploy a central management over here, which means this guy will manage all the configuration of these distributed servers. you will not be able to see the configuration when you log into the local management over here. So this is the web GUI for the centralized management, and this is the GUI for the local management. The data will not appear in the local management because it is managed here on the central, right? But what you can actually do is, if you really want to see the configuration over here, you can access via CLI and then proceed to the directory that specific for DNS or DHCP, and you can see the configuration over there in the text file format. Okay. So the other possibility is the SOLIDserver supports the multi-vendor service management. So apart from being able to manage EfficientIP solid servers, we also allow the ability to manage other DNS servers and DHCP servers, right? So we have support for Linux-based OS, the top two, Debian and Red Hat, and also the Microsoft DNS and DHCP, right? So all this is then managed again on the central manager, right? So this is the simplicity and the flexibility that we offer to the customers, right? And for Linux, however, will require the installation of a Linux package, because we will provide the DNS and DHCP servers, which is tested by EfficientIP and rolled out by them. We will not manage the already installed bind and DHCP. So we will require that services to be turned off and then have the package installed before we can manage it on the CM. On Microsoft operating system, however, we can manage them without having any agents or software packages installed, right? So we communicate directly to the servers using a valid administrator credentials, and the connectivity is using the Microsoft RPC. All this information is actually in the admin guide. If you look into the managing DNS and DHCP server for Microsoft, and it states there the necessary ports and the protocol that's being used to communicate between the CM and the Microsoft DNS and DHCP servers. So our customers, ranging from small to huge enterprises, have a problem trying to manage this configuration, a lot of configurations, right? So basically, large enterprises will have offices in countries, in a lot of other regions. So what we offer is the ability to manage all this information from a single point of view or a single pane, right? The ability that we also provide is tracking. We track what changes are being made by whom at what time, and this allows the deployment or the rollout of SOLIDserver to adhere to the policies, security policies, right? When you have a huge network with different services, different operating systems in your environment, it is a problem trying to manage and making sure there's a consistency between different networks, whether there's a conflict in the networks, right? Subnet overlap and such. So we try to eliminate as much problems as we could by having a central point of access and making sure that all this data is accurately configured right? And making sure that the DNS and the HTTP servers are working properly, and the integrity of the services are there to make sure that it's providing the real services, and having a very low risk of any failure. So in our IPM appliance, actually we have multiple spaces, right? It's like a container, so we can actually specify a particular set of DNS or DHCP server for a particular office or region or department through the use of spaces. Okay, as we move along, you will encounter this terminology, and these are some of the common words that we use when we configure the SOLID servers.